عقبة بن الحارث رضي الله عنه أنه تزوج ابنة لأبي إيهاب بن عزيز فأتته امرأة فقالت إني قد أرضعت عقبة والتي تزوج بها فقال له عقبة ما أعلم أنك أرضعتني ولا أخبرتني فركب إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بالمدينة فسأله فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كيف وقد قيل ففارقها عقبة ونكحت زوجا غيره. Abu Sirwah, Uqba ibn al-Harith reports that he married the daughter of Abu Ihab ibn Aziz. Then one lady came and said that I breastfed Uqba and that girl to whom he got married. So they are both brothers and sisters from Razai side. So Uqba said, I don't know that you ever breastfed me, and you didn't say this before, never in my life. However, he rode from his village to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina Sharif. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, how can you stay with her when this has been said? So Uqba separated her and she got married to another husband. Uqba ibn al-Harith used to live in another village outside Medina Sharif. So he got married there to this lady, and a woman came and she said, you are both brothers, sisters, you can't get married. I breastfed both of you. Now Uqba said, Ma a'lamu annaki arda'tini wala akhbarti. I don't know, I never know that you breastfed me, and you never said this before. I'm grown up, 25, 30 years old, right? And this has never come up before. So where did this come from? So though he was certain, another riwayat, even that girl also said, she never breastfed me. So he still had that doubt. So he rode Baqaida just to Medina to ask this one masala. There wasn't telephone in those days. So he came and he said, Ya Rasulullah, this has happened, what shall I do? And Nabi Pak said, كيف وقد قيل يعني كيف تجامعها وقد قيل ما قيل. How can you stay with her when this rumor has spread? Now, fatwa is that for Subut-e Raza'at, you need at least 2 witnesses. So this Murzi'a made a claim, and she has to provide 2 witnesses for her Raza'at. But she didn't have those witnesses, so it's not proven. So fatwa is that they are still allowed to marry one another. But taqwa was that they get separated. So Huzur gave taqwa over here, not fatwa. Huzur said there are plenty of fishes in the ocean, find another fish. क्या ज़रूरी है इसके साथ ही निकाह में रहना? So كيف وقد قيل ففارقها عقبة. Uqba separated her, and she also got married to someone else. وعن الحسن بن علي رضي الله عنه قال حفظت من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم دع ما يريبك إلى ما لا يريبك. رواه الترمذي وقال حديث حسن صحيح معناه اترك ما تشك فيه وخذ ما لا تشك فيه. Hazrat Hassan ibn Ali, the Nawasa of Rasul Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, reports that I remember this hadith, I memorized this hadith from my Nana Jan, Rasul Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He said, leave that which puts you into doubt and go for that which does not put you in doubt. And Tirmidhi explained the meaning. Leave that for which there is shak and take that in which there is no shak. Da' from wada'a yad'u wad'an, to leave. And this is just a little bit of nasihat, advice and guidance for good manners and good behavior. Yaribuk, Raba Yaribu, Rayban. Quran said, Alif Lam Mim Zalikal Kitab La Rayba Fihi. Rayb means anything that creates shak, that makes you feel uncomfortable. That's rayb. Dil mein jo uncomfortable mahsoos ho na, usko rayb kehte hain. So it means shak, doubt. So leave that which creates some shak and suspicion in your heart and mind, and go for that in which there is no suspicion, no shak, and take that. And there are lots of other things. This hadith is teaching taqwa. तो बी मुत्तकी, बी परहेजगार, शक शुबा वाली चीज़ें छोड़ देने की, पूछने का भी नहीं कि ये अलाउ है या नहीं है। फिर तुमको शक हो गया, क्या ज़रूरी है उसको करना, छोड़ो उसको। बहुत सी चीज़ें हमारी लाइफ में ऐसी आती हैं कि हमको उसमें शक हो जाता है, और वो, हाँ, शक जो है इट शुड बी बेस्ड ऑन सम फर्म ग्राउंड। खामखा का शक, वो शक की मिजाज, वहमी मिजाज, वो नहीं, उससे तो शरीयत मना करती है, डोंट बी ए वहमीला पर्सन, राइट। हर बात में शक करना, हर बात में शक करना। जैसे बाज बीवियाँ जो अपने हस्बैंड पर शक करती हैं, हर वक्त शक कर, अरे भाई आई हैवंट डन एनीथिंग यार, वो हर वक्त शक ही करती रहती है, फाइट करती रहती है। टाउन में गए हैं, यू स्टेयरिंग एट हर, व्हाट यू, अरे भाई आई वाजंट, यू वर लुकिंग एट हर, अबे मैं तो वो जूते देख रहा था, नो यू वर लुकिंग एट हर। अब वहाँ से लड़ाई शुरू कर दी। तो ये ऐसा शक जो है, देयर इज नो ग्राउंड फॉर इट। सो शक where there is some basis for it, there is possibility of it. Like you went to some takeaway and you saw something suspicious, or you went to this meat shop and you saw some suspicious thing, activity, or you were in Makkah and you saw that वो बॉक्स पड़ा हुआ है बाहर, उसमें ब्राज़ील लिखा है, चिकन फ्रॉम ब्राज़ील, तो उस शॉप में मत खाओ, because there is ground for shak there. So when something creates doubt in you and puts you into shak, leave that, do that in which there is no shak and no doubt. चलिए आगे। ये हदीस भी तकवा सिखाती है और बहुत स्ट्रेटेजिक हदीस है और बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, हर वक्त नज़र के सामने रहनी चाहिए। हज़रत हसन तो हुजूर के नवासे हैं। एक दफ़े आपने दे पढ़ा है ना, आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने देखा कि हसन ने एक खजूर लिया और मुंह में रखा, और खजूर था सदक़े का। हुजूर स्टॉप 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 स्टॉप, हुजूर गए, हमको मुंह से निकाला और वापस रख दिया। अरे तुमको पता नहीं, हम तो, हमारे लिए सदक़े का माल हलाल नहीं है, हम सदका नहीं खा सकते हैं। तो हुजूर ने कहा कि निकाल लो इसको। तो ये है, ज़कात है, सदक़े वाजिबा है, सैयद नहीं ले सकते हैं उसको। पढ़ो आगे। वन आयशा रज़ियल्लाहु तआला अन्हा कान अबू बकर सिद्दीक़ रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु युख़रिजु लहु अल-ख़राज वकान अबू बकर यअकुलु मिन ख़राजी फजाअ यौम बिशैइन फ़क़ाल मिन अबू बकर फ़क़ाल गुलाम तदरी मा हाज़ा फ़क़ाल मा हुवा क़ाल कुन्तु तकहनतु लिल-इंसान फ़िल जाहिलिय्यति मा उहसिनु al-कहनत इल्ला अन्नी ख़दअतुहु फ़लक़ियनी फ़अअतानी लिज़ालिका हाज़ा अलज़ी अकलत मिन्हु फ़अदख़ल अबू बकर यदहु फ़क़ाल कुल्लु शैइन फ़ी बत्निही अल-ख़राज शैउन यजअलुहु अस-सय्यिद अला अब्दिही युअद्दीहि इला अस-सय्यिद कुल्ल यौमिन व बाक़ी कसबिही यकुनु लिल-अब्दी। Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha reports that her father, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, had a slave who would bring out for him some stipend, some rosina, regular, payment. Abu Bakr would eat from that payment and regular stipend, and he normally asks, where is this from? Now one day, he came with something and Abu Bakr did not ask and he ate from it. So the slave said, do you know what this is? Abu Bakr asked, what is it? And he said, in the Jahiliyyah period, I did some fortune telling for a person. And I was not a good fortune teller. I didn't know what it is. However, I deceived him. So today he met me and he gave me this because of that kahanat and fortune telling. Maybe it came true, so he was happy. So he gave me this, which you have just ate from. So Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu thrust his hand in his mouth and vomited everything that went in his belly. Kharaj is something which the master fixes on his slave, which he pays off to the master every day, and the rest of the earning is for the slave. Now, do you understand all the words? Takahantu, takahana means to do kahanat. There were some kahins in Jahiliyyah. They would claim to have some friendship with jinns, and the jinns would come and inform them of things. There would be some palm readers. They look at your palm, and then they say, this is like this, this is going to happen to you. Palm readers. And there were some nujumis, munajjim. So they would look at the stars and predict your future. Horoscope. न्यूज़पेपर में रोज़ाना होता है, बकवास होता है, वो समझ ही नहीं पड़ती क्या लिखा है. तो these types of things, Kahin, Munajjim, Arraf are all similar. So he said, I used to do kahanat in Jahiliyat, and I was not a good kahin. मैं तो ठोकम ठोक मारता था, जैसे सब काहिनों की आदत ठोक मारना ही होता है. वमा वो सिरुल कहानत, and it was not my profession. I was not a good kahin. I said something, इल्ला अन्नी खदातुहु. खदा means धोखा देना. मैंने उसको ट्रिक कर दिया था, डिसीव किया था. तो आज वो मुझे मिला तो उसने ये दिया, और उसने क्यों दिया? वही कि उसकी कहानत सही निकली थी. समटाइम को बात ठीक भी निकल आती है नो, वो तीर मारते हैं, लग गया तीर. वो असल में ये कहानत और ये जिन भूत और ये सब है ना, इससे सिक्स सेंस. जो आमिल होते हैं ना जिन भूत वाले, वो सामने वाले को देखते हैं, फिर उसको फिश रीडिंग करते हैं, सब देखते हैं, फिर वो मार देते हैं. तो तीर लग जाते हैं, कभी नहीं लगता है. इसलिए आमिलों के पास नहीं जाने का. हजरत गंज मुरादाबादी रहमतुल्लाह अलैह यूज्ड टू से, आमिल कामिल नहीं होता. आमिल कैन नॉट बी कामिल. वो बेचारे इधर उधर हो ही जाते हैं उनसे, अल्लाह बचाए. सो आई डिड दिस, आई ट्रिक्ड हिम, he met me today, he did this. Now what did Abu Bakr do? Now Abu Bakr was not responsible for where he gets it from, so that was jaiz, halal for him, right? But still he thrust his finger inside, like when you do miswak, vomit कर दी, पूरी निकाल दिया उन्होंने, deliberate vomit. I don't want this haram stuff to be part of my body. This is taqwa of Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. हम लोग बाज़ मरतबा कोई चॉकलेट आइसक्रीम कुछ खा जाते हैं, पता चलते हैं उसमें ये है, चलो यार क्या करें यार, भूल हो गई, खा लिया, हो गया. हमको कभी ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि लाओ हम भी क़य कर लें. सिद्दीक़ अकबर ने फ़ौरन क़य कर दी. ये सिद्दीक़ अकबर का तक़वा है. चलिए, दिस इज़ वरा, राइट. हम भी बाज़ मरतबा बाज़ लोग पूछते हैं कि ये जॉब कैसा है, वो कैसा है, भाई इसमें कराहत है, आप न करें इसको. फिर कहते हैं मुफ्ती क्या आपके बाद, चलो जब तक कोई दूसरा जॉब न मिले इसको करते रहो, राइट, और दूसरा ढूंढ लेना. लेकिन वो दूसरा नहीं ढूंढते, वही करते रहते हैं. तो उसमें एहतियात जिसमें हो तो एहतियात करना चाहिए. वो रोज़मर्रा का आपके खाना है, आपकी वाइफ का खाना है, बच्चों का खाना है. यानी हज़रत लाहौरी रहमतुल्लाह अलैह का कौल है कि उम्मत में जो बिगाड़ है वो 90% बिगाड़ हराम खाने की वजह से, और बाकी उसमें हज़रत ने फरमाया कि 8% जो है वो इसकी वजह से है और 2% इसकी वजह से है. तो 90% बिगाड़ हराम खाने की वजह से है. चलिए, وعن نافع بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه فرض المهاجرين الأولين 4000 وفرض ابن 3500 فقيل هو من المهاجرين فلما نقصته قال إنما هاجر به أبواه يقول ليس هو كمن هاجر بنفسه. Nafi says Umar ibn Khattab used to fix for Muhajirin Awwalin 4,000, and for his son Abdullah ibn Umar he fixed the allowance of 3,500. Someone said to him, your son Abdullah is also from Muhajirin, why did you reduce his allowance? And Sayyidina Umar said that only his parents migrated with him, brought him here. He meant to say that he is not like someone who did hijrat by himself. Okay ना? फिर से पढ़ ले. फरद लिल मुहाजिर लवली 4,000. This is the annual allowance which Hazrat Umar used to give. Hazrat Umar is the one who laid the foundations of social security. He is the first to have a census of the whole Medina, register all the names in there, and fix annual allowance for them. And regularly he would give that every year at the fixed time. So he fixed according to rankings. Ashab Badr, Muhajirin, Ashab Bayat Rizwan, Ansar, wives of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, family of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So for Muhajirin he fixed 4,000 per person. And his son, which son? Name is not mentioned here. Which son is talking about? Abdullah. Because Abdullah migrated to Medina Sharif with his father, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu. And Abdullah at that time was young, maybe 11 years old at the time. Because in Uhud he was 14, Khandaq he was 15. So he was 10, 11 years old at the time when he migrated. So he is also from the Muhajirin, but Hazrat Umar gave him 3.5. Someone said, why did you reduce his share? and he said, oh, तो छोटा बच्चा था, अपने बाप के साथ आ गया था, माँ बाप लाए थे उसको. Meaning, yaqulu here means yani. He meant to say that he is not like someone who migrated himself. This is also taqwa of Hazrat Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, right? Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu did not want bad name कि अपने बेटे के लिए भी इतना दे दिया. तो मेरा बेटा है, चलो उसने हिजरत की है, कुर्बानी की है, उसने ठीक है, लेकिन मेरा बेटा है इसलिए मैं एहतियातन उसको थोड़ा कम देता हूँ. وعن عتيب بن عروة السعدي صحابي قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يبلغ عبد يكون متقن حتى يدع أعمال وسيء حذرا مما لما به بأس. رواه الترمذي وقال حديث حسن. A person does not reach the highest level of muttaqeen until he leaves that in which there is no harm for fear of that in which there is harm. لا يبلغ العبد أن يكون من المتقين. من المتقين يعني من المتقين الكاملين الموصوفين بكمال التقوى. He will not be from the complete and perfect muttaqis and parhezgars until he leaves that for which there is no harm. يدع meaning يترك خشية من الله ما لا بأس به, in which there is no harm, meaning by way of fatwa. Mufti say कि it's allowed, but he feels ना यार, भले मुफ्ती साहब ने बोल दिया कि अलाउ है, लेकिन मेरा दिल नहीं कर रहा है, फिर भी इसमें मुझे ज़रा खदशा है, तो उसको छोड़ दे. हज़रन लिमा बिही बअसुन. हज़ीर यहज़रु, हज़रन means being careful and being fearful, being scared. So being scared and fearful of that in which there is harm. Right? He's scared that if I do this, if I indulge in this jais, it could lead me to something najais. So to stay away from that, he stays away from this as well. Right? तो इसीलिए मिसाल के तौर पर टीवी पर न्यूज़ भी नहीं देखना है, क्योंकि हो सकता है न्यूज़ देखते देखते फिल्म देखना शुरू कर दें. तो भले न्यूज़ जायज़ हो, लेकिन आदमी कहे यार न्यूज़ नहीं देखूंगा तो क्या मैं मर जाऊंगा. ये इसी तरह खाने पीने की अशिया में भाई जो जायज़ चीज़ें हैं बहुत सी, some things might be jais, but if you indulge in too much jais, it could lead to makruh, and that makruh could lead to haram, right? So you stay away from the jais stuff as well. Like takeaway is jais, but then if you have too much of takeaways, and then you'll feel like going to a different one, another one, trying this one, trying that one, right? And now you will need more money because it will be expensive. Some takeaways bills run into hundreds of pounds. राइट. अब वो शादी खाने के लिए गए, जब बिल आया तो देखा 400 पाउंड का बिल है, 400 पाउंड का खाना खा गए हम लोग. हाँ भाई, तो अब 5 आदमी हैं तो हर एक को 80 पाउंड देने हैं, तो महंगा, अब इतने पैसे लाए कहाँ से. तो इसलिए फिर यू हैव टू अर्न मोर एज वेल. सो यू लीव दैट इन विच देयर इज नो हार्म बिकॉज यू आर स्केयर्ड ऑफ फॉलिंग इनटू दैट इन विच देयर इज हार्म एंड विच इज नॉट अलाउड. باب استحباب العزلة عند فساد الناس والزمان والخوف من فتنة في الدين ووقوع في حرام وشبهات ونحوها. Mustahab and desirable to stay away and alone and loneliness and isolation when there is corruption and mischief among people and in the time, or when one is fearful of fitna in deen and falling into haram and shubuhat wa nahwiha. Istihbabul uzla. What does uzla mean? Azala ya'zilu means alag karna, to separate. So uzla over here means isolation. In Urdu it's called gosha nashini, tanhai, okay, staying alone. Hazrat Umar radiyallahu anhu used to say, khudhu bihadhikum min al-uzlah. Uzlat and isolation में से अपना हिस्सा और शेयर ले लिया करो. Take some portion of isolation for yourself. Sometimes you need to isolate yourself. And तन्हाई में just keep yourself to yourself. ऐसा करना चाहिए वक्तन फ़वक्तन. इसीलिए हमको एतिकाफ़ सिखाया गया. एतिकाफ़ में दुनिया से अलग थलग हो जाओ. और इसीलिए आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम गारे हिरा में जाया करते थे. गारे हिरा में तन्हा अकेले isolation. Right? So it is mustahab to stay in isolation, keep yourself to yourself when there is fasadun nas, fasadun zaman, or khawf min fitna fi deen, that your deen could be corrupted, or you are fearful of falling into haram or doubtful things. Allah said, فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ إِنِّي لَكُم مِّنْهُ نَذِيرٌ مُبِينٌ. So run towards Allah. Indeed, I am for you a clear warner from Him. फर्र यफिरु फिरारन means दौड़ लगाना. And देखो, someone said something nice, that with rizq, Allah said in Surah Al-Mulk, فَمْشُوا فِي مَنَاكِبِهَا. Right? चलो, rizq जो है आराम आराम से चल करके हासिल करो. And for coming to Jummah namaz, zikrullah, Allah said, فَسْعَوْا إِلَىٰ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ. And जल्दी जल्दी आओ अल्लाह के जिक्र की तरफ. और नंबर 3, अल्लाह के पास आने के लिए कहा भाग करके आओ. فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. भाग कर आओ. Whenever you are fearful or scared of something, run to Allah. Run to Allah. भाग कर आओ अल्लाह के पास. सलातुल हजात पढ़ो, रो अल्लाह के सामने, मांगो अल्लाह से. तो ये है फिरार इल्लल्लाह. और वैसे भी इंसान को तो भाग कर अल्लाह ही जाना है, अल्लाह ही के पास जाना है, और कहाँ जाएंगे. तो इसलिए फफिर्रू इल्लल्लाह अल्लाह ने कहा. मोहशी लिखते हैं फफिर्रू इल्लल्लाह बिद्दुखूल बिल ईमान बिल्लाह व ताअतिही. Rush to the iman and hasten towards Allah's obedience and connect yourself to Allah. Do lots of zikr of Allah, remembrance of Allah. Sa'd bin Waqqas said, I heard Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say, Inna Allah Ta'ala yuhibbu al-abd al-taqiyya al-ghaniyya al-khafiyya. Indeed, Allah loves that bondsman who is God-fearing, rich and unknown. Al-abdu taqi, taqiyun means taqwa wala. Al-ghani means rich, free, independent. And khafi means down to earth, low profile. Who is unknown, who's not famous, who doesn't like fame, who doesn't like everybody recognizing him, knowing him, and pointing fingers towards him. Nah, bhai, I keep myself to myself, that's better for me. This is istihbabul uzla. When did Hazrat Sa'd bin Waqqas say this? When there were the battles between Hazrat Ali and his opponents. So at that time, there were some who took Hazrat Ali's side and others who took his opponent's side. But there was a third group who abstained from both sides, who just stayed in their homes. So Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas' son, instigated by some people, came to his dad. And Hazrat Sa'd saw him coming. Hazrat Sa'd said, fitna is coming. He's going to, mujhe parishan karega ye. He's coming to make me parishan. And he came and he said, Abba, you are sitting here, there's so much chaos going on among people. Why don't you come out and, take side and fight for the haqq and truth? And Sa'd ibn Waqqas said, go away from here. I heard Nabi Pak say these words. Right? So I just want to stay low profile. I don't want to have anything to do with anyone. Right? So he was among those who abstained in the times of fitna. There were others like him as well, like Abu Bakr as-Saqafi, Usama ibn Zayd. Right? They didn't take any sides. They said, no, we don't want to take any sides. Abdullah ibn Umar al-Khattab, right? They stayed away from both parties. So, kuch log aise the. Now, it's not necessary, it's not for us, right? Because if nobody takes side, if everybody just sits in their home and nobody takes side, then batil will, overpower. So, you have to fight for haqq. But sometimes when you're confused, then it's best to stay away. So these Sahaba said, I don't want to get involved in that. I just want to keep myself to myself. This is when he said this and this. Now you understand? Sa'd ibn Waqqas died in the year 55 after Hijrah in Ramzan. So until then, he never got into anything. He was one of the leading generals in the time of Abu Bakr and Umar ibn Khattab. He is Fatih of Iraq. He is conqueror of the, Kisra, Khosrow's empire, right? Persian empire. So he did lots of jihad in the time of Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu and in the time of Usman. But then during the Usman time, he just relaxed. People are doing this job. I don't need to go in there. And in time of Ali Khilafat, he stayed away from fitnas. Who is the most fazilat wala admi? Best. He replied, Mu'minun yujahidu bi nafsihi wa malihi fi sabilillah. ثم من قال ثم رجل معتصر في شعب من الشعاب يعبد ربه. Who is the best among people? A mu'min who does jihad with his life and his mal in the path of Allah. Then a person who isolates himself in one ghati from the ghatis, in a passageway from among the passageways between mountains, ya'budu rabbahu, worshipping his Rabb. And in another riwayat, يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ وَيَدَعُ النَّاسَ مِنْ شَرِّهِ, fears Allah and keeps people safe from his evil. رَجُلٌ مُعْتَزِلٌ فِي شِعْبٍ مِنَ الشِّعَابِ. Mu'tazil means staying alone, separate, separating himself. في شِعْبٍ, شِعْب is al-infiraj bayn al-jabalayn, the passageway between two mountains. Okay, because you can't climb the whole mountain and then go on the other side. It's a struggle. So they look for the passageway, so they have to climb a little bit, and through that passage they get to the other side. That's called sheb. Now those shebs sometimes had small caves inside, and sometimes there would be some water in there as well. So a person goes into that isolation and he says, I've got my, let's say, goats or sheep over here. They'll graze, they'll come here. I live here, this small hut, this cave is good for me. He just keeps doing Allah's ibadat. And he's in that isolation. So at times of fitna, the person who isolates himself in a shab from shi'ab, ya'budu rabbahu, is best. Yattaqillah wa yad'u an-nasa min sharrihi. This is Sufi. This is what Sufiya kiram say. सारी दुनिया से अलग थलग हो जाओ. रहबानियत नहीं है इस्लाम में, लेकिन समटाइम्स अपना दीन बचाने के लिए ऐसा करना पड़ता है. बाग मशाइख ऐसा करते थे. Ibrahim ibn Adham rahmatullahi alayhi, he was the king of Balakh, a large city in Afghanistan. But he was restless. He wanted that inner peace, dil ki daulat. So, long story cutting short, he went away, he gave the kingdom to others, to his cousins and brothers. You take care of the kingdom, I'm going from here. And then he went to Iraq, Basra, Baghdad. He went around and he found one such nice cave, and he spent 9 years in there. He would come down once a week and do some labor work in the town, earn his daily bread, and then he would buy some atta or something and make 7 laddus from it and take them and go up into the hilltop and in the mountain passageway, and he would eat 1 laddu every day and drink some sweet water which was there from a fountain spring and keep doing his ibadat there, tasbihah, zikr, azkar, until he got that dil ki daulat. So you have to work hard for this dil ki daulat. Sufiya kiram, they used to say chilla kashi, chilla nikalo. और हम गए थे उज़्बेकिस्तान, तो कफ़ाल शाशी का चिल्ला गाह, तो उनकी जहाँ कब्र है तो साइड पर उनकी चिल्ला गाह है. ऐसा छोटा सा रूम है, उसमें एक ही आदमी बैठ सकता है या 2-3 आदमी जरा खड़े हों तो भी मुश्किल से वो खड़े होने की जगह है. लेकिन डार्क, नो विंडो, नो नॉइज, नथिंग, उसमें बैठे रहो चुपचाप, सारी दुनिया से अलग थलग. दिस इज गोशा नशीनी, चिल्ला गा. कोई मुरीद आता बैत करके उसमें कहते इसमें चिल्ला गुजारो, चिल्ला निकालो, तो वहाँ वो चिल्ला निकालता, तब जाकर नफ्स की इस्लाह होती. तो ये चीज़ है कि मुअतज़िलुन फ़ी शअबिन मिन अश-शिहाब. सेम नेक्स्ट हदीस, युशिकु अन यकून खैरा मा लिल-मुस्लिमी गनमुन यत्तबिउ बिहा शअफ़ल जिबाल व मवाक़िअल क़तर यफ़िरु बिदीनिही मिनल फ़ितन. That time is close when the best property of a Muslim will be some goats with which he will follow the hilltops, the tops of the mountains, and places where raindrops fall on the earth. He will run away with his deen from fitnas. Yushiku, Aushaka Yushiku means the time is very close. It's coming, it's going to happen. An yakuna khayra malil muslimi ghanamun. The best mal of a Muslim will be some goats. And he will yattabi'u biha. Ittaba'a means to follow. So he will follow with it and take his goats on the sha'af al-jibal. Sha'af means the higher part of the mountain, right? The mountain area where there is some little bit of grass on the hill. So he will take these few goats he has, right? And the few sheep or few goats which can give a little bit of milk. He can drink that milk on a daily basis and survive. That's his food and nourishment. So he goes with those ghanam on the hilltops, and wa mawaqi'ul qatar. Mawaqi' plural of mawqi'. And mawqi' means a place where something falls. And qatr means raindrops. Now, in a city, the raindrops don't fall on the ground, they fall on the rooftops of the homes and buildings. So this is open area, urban area, where the rain drops on the ground, not on hilltops, not on rooftops. So places where the rain is dropping on the ground, يَفِرُّ بِدِينِهِ مِنَ الْفِتَنِ, he will run away with his deen from fitnas. He wants to protect his deen, right? He does not want his deen to be corrupted, affected by the fitnas that are in the deen. شَعَفَ الْجِبَالِ أَعْلَاهَا, the highest part. وعن ابي هريره النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ما بعث النبي الا رعى الغنم فقال اصحابه وانت فقال نعم كنت ارعاها على قراريط لاهل مكه. Allah did not send the prophet, but they grazed goats. Sahaba said, and you too? I said, yes, me as well. I used to graze goats for some qirat, and the goats belong to the Ahle Makkah. Now, when you are a shepherd, what happens? You have to go away from the town, right, into the hills, and you stay there, and you have a big danda with you, and you just keep a watch, so no wolf comes and attacks the sheep. So they used to do this, and they used to go on the hilltops and mountains and open areas. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, made all the prophets, look after goats and made them shepherds. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was a shepherd. He stayed with Shu'aib alayhi salam for 10 years. बकरियाँ चराई शुएब अलैहिस्सलाम की. तो एक दफ़े अल्लाह पाक ने मूसा अलैहिस्सलाम से पूछा, मखज़न अखलाक में पढ़ा हमने, कि ए मूसा, do you know why I made you Kalimullah? And Musa अलैहिस्सलाम said no. And Allah Pak said, once you were looking after the bakris, and one bakri ran from the herd, and you run after her to bring her back, and she ran here and there, like bakri ki aadat hai. So ran, and you were tired, the bakri was tired as well, and then it stopped, and you were breathing heavily, and you took her and you put her in your lap and you were stroking her. Hey bakri, why did you run so much? You were tired, you made me tired as well, instead of beating the goat. So I like this action of yours so much that I made you Kalimullah. मालूम हुआ कि हुजूर पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम also कभी बकरी को मारा नहीं हुजूर ने. तो पैगंबर हजरात बकरियों को मारते नहीं थे. बकरी तो छोटा जानवर है, उसकी तो टांग टूट जाएगी अगर उसको एक लाठी मारेंगे. बड़े जानवरों को मार सकते हैं, गधे को मार सकते हैं, घोड़े को, ऊंट को, लेकिन बकरी को नहीं मार सकते कि बच्ची बीमार पड़ जाएगी, टूट जाएगी, ब्रूज हो जाएगा उसको. तो हजरत अल्लाह पाक ने बकरियां चरवाई ताकि उनके अंदर ह्यूमिलिटी, हम्बलनेस आ जाए, क्योंकि बकरी कैसा इज डेलिकेट, यू हैव टू बी वेरी soft and gentle with the goats, bakris. So Allah trained the Anbiya alayhi salam so that your ummah is like the bakris. You have to be gentle with your ummah like you have to be gentle with the goats. That's why Allah made the Anbiya look after the goats. A Sahaba said, you as well, Ya Rasulullah? And said, yeah. Kundu ar'aha ala qaradith. Qaradith is plural of qirat. Qirat means some little bit of fixed amount, part of dinar, part of dirham. One juz of dinar, one juz of dirham is called qirat. And for Ahle Makkah, the Makkah people, they used to give me their goats, and I used to go and look after them. This was Huzur's profession when he was young, 15, 17, 18-year-old. And that's where you get that story from as well. That once in Makkah Mukarramah there was this festival, and Huzur and his friend, who were both looking after the goats, they said, yeah, tonight there's this festival. What we'll do is, we'll take turns. You go one night and I will look after your goats and enjoy the festival. And tomorrow I will go and you look after the goats. So when Huzur's turn was, he came down from the hilltops and he, saw one of his friends. He greeted him and he went into his house and he sat there and he fell asleep. And then when he woke up, it was morning. So he just came back. He never participated in that festival, in the festivities which the Makkah, because there was so wrong stuff in there. Allah protected him even in that youth when you're brimming and you want to see these types of things. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him in this manner, put sleep over him. So he used to look after the goats for Ahl Makkah. وعنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال من خير معاش الناس لهم رجل ممسك بعنان فرسه في سبيل الله يطير على متنه كلما سمع هيئته فزعة طار عليه يبتغي القتل أو الموت مظانه أو رجل في غنيمة في رأس شعفة من هذه الشعف أو بطن مئة من هذه الأودية يقيم الصلاة ويؤتي الزكاة ويعبد ربه حتى يأتيه اليقين ليس من الناس في شيء إلا في خير. Among the best ma'ash and livelihood of people is the ma'ash of this person who is holding on to the lagam and rein of his horse in the path of Allah. He flies on its back. उस पर बैठकर वो उड़ता है. कुल्लमा समिया हयअतन औ क़ाल फ़ज़अतन. Whenever he hears a scream or terrifying noise, he flies on it. He seeks shahadat, or he said death, meaning the places of shahadat. Mazannahu. Mazannahu is badalul ishtimal from al-qatl. And second is a person who has few goats and he is at the top of these hilltops from the hills or in the middle of the valley from these valleys. He establishes salah and he gives zakat and he worships his Rabb until certainty comes to him, meaning death. He among people is in nothing but in good. Do you understand all the words? Min khayri ma'ashin nas, among the best livelihoods of people, where a person can survive and remain alive, is the livelihood of a person mumsikun anana farasihi. Amsaka yumsiku imsakan means pakarna, holding on. Anan means lagam, rein. Fi sabilillah. Yatiru ala matnihi, tara yatiru tayran means udna. मतलब ये है कि वो अगर कहीं से कोई घबराहट की आवाज आई, scream like, oh, army is here, he just jumps on his back of his horse and takes his sword and weapons and he's up and running straight away. He doesn't hesitate, he doesn't wait to check out what's going on, where is this scream coming from. Kullama samiya hayatan faza'atan. Hayatun faza'atun both similar meaning. Uske maana wo scream. Imam Nawawi said, as-sawtu lil harbi, the voice of battle. Wherever he hears the voice of battle, announcement of battle, or anyone screaming, then he flies on it and he seeks for shahadat and he places mazannahu. Mazannahu means mawaqi'ahu. Mazannun is a plural of mazinnatun. And mazinnatun is isme zarf from zanna yazunnu zannan. And zanna yazunnu means khayal karna, to think. So mazannahu, where he thinks he will get shahadat. So he is seek ibtagha yabtaghi, to seek. He seeks shahadat or death or the places of shahadat. Or this means a mujahid fi sabilillah. And second, a man who is a Sufi and he has little bit of goats. Ghunaymah is tasghir, right? And it means that they're not too much goats, too many sheep. Only a few sheep. दो चार बकरियां हैं, ज्यादा भी नहीं है, बहुत लंबा. He's not wealthy, he's not maldar. He's gharib bichara, he's got a few bakris. So he takes those bakris and into the sha'fatun min hadi sha'f. Ras means top of the hilltops from these hills, or valley, middle of the valley from these valleys. And he does his namaz properly, gives his zakat, whatever is due on him, and he does his ibadat of his Rabb until death comes to him. In nothing. Yaqeen means death. Because death is yaqeeni. Right? People will doubt anything, but nobody will doubt death. They will have doubt in Allah and His Rasul in Quran, but they won't have doubt in death. Any aqidah, any belief, right? Muslim, non-Muslim, whichever, they will all know that death is certain. This is why death is described as al-yaqeen. Yatiru yusri'u, he rushes. Matnahu zahrahu, back. Al-hayatu was-sawtu lil-harb, announcement of battle. الفزعة نحوه similar to هيعة. مظان الشيء المواضع التي يظن وجوده فيها, the places in which it is thought that it will be there. والغنيمة بضم الغين تصغير الغنم is تصغير of غنم. الشعفة بفتح الشين والعين وهي أعلى الجبل, the top of a mountain. पढ़ना है कि बस करना है? पढ़ना है. चलो पढ़ो. बाबू फضل الاختلاط بالناس وحضور جمعهم وجماعاتهم ومشاهد الخير ومجالس العلم ومجالس الذكر معهم وعيادة مريضهم وحضور جنائزهم ومواساة محتاجهم وإرشاد جاهلهم وغير ذلك من مصالحهم لمن قدر على المعروف الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر وقمع نفسه عن الإيذاء والصبر على الأذى. Fazilat of mixing with people. Ikhtilat means mixing. And attending حضور جمعهم وجماعاتهم, attending their Juma namaz and their Jamaats. Okay, Juma, plural of Jumatun. And Mashahidul Khair, places where there is witnessing of Khair, like Eid namaz. In Eid namaz, there's lots of good, lots of people gather, and lots of things there. And Majalisul Ilm, places where Majlis Ilm is taking place, Majalisul Zikr, Zikr Majlis is taking place, Ma'ahum, with good people. And Iyadatu Marizihim, visiting their Mariz and sick. And Huzuri Janaizihim, attending their Janaza. Okay, if you live with people, then you will go to visit sick people and there's sawab for that. And Huzurul Janaiz, there's sawab for attending the Janaza. And Muwasatul Muhtaj, being considerate and showing kindness to the Muhtaj and needy. Wa irshadi jahilihim, and guiding those who are ignorant and who do not know. Wa ghayri dhalika, and other things besides this, min masalihihim, which is connected to their maslihat and in which there is good for the people. Liman qadara, and this fazilat is for the one who has qudrat of amr bil ma'ruf and nahi anil munkar. Babu fadli kaha na, fadlul ikhtilat, for who has qudrat, ability of amr bil ma'ruf nahi anil munkar, and qam'i nafsihi anil izai, and who can crush his ego from iza and abuse of people, and who can do sabr on the insults and abuses of people. For such person, it is better. Now this bab is the opposite of the previous bab, because the previous chapter was about fazilat and virtue of isolation. In this chapter, Imam Nawawi is saying mixing with people, avoiding isolation, is good for some people. Who are those people who can mix and who can do sabr, who are tolerant, who can do tahammul? Then they should stay with people. Because if everybody goes into isolation, who's going to stay with the society and teach people and do amr bil maruf nahi anil munkar and guide people? So for guidance, the ulama-i kiram, sulaha, mashayikh, who are needed in the society, they should stay with the people. They should mix with people. They should guide them, do their rehbari and amr bil maruf, like tabligh jamaat going in. So these things are needed. So that's why it's best for them to stay with people. اعلم أن الاختلاط بالناس على الوجه الذي ذكرته هو المختار الذي كان عليه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وسائر الأنبياء صلوات الله وسلامه عليهم، وكذلك الخلفاء الراشدون ومن بعدهم من الصحابة والتابعين ومن بعدهم من علماء المسلمين وأخيارهم، وهو مذهب أكثر التابعين ومن بعدهم، وبه قال الشافعي وأحمد وأكثر الفقهاء رحمهم الله أجمعين. Know that mixing with people in the manner which I have mentioned is the preferred view, and upon which was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and all the Anbiya salawatullahi wasalamu alayhim, and similarly the Khulafai Rashideen and those who came after them from Sahaba Tabi'een and those who came after them from Ulama Muslimin and the Akhyar, the best among the people, Buzrugs and Mashayikh. And this is the madhab and opinion of most Tabi'een and those after them. And this is the opinion of Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad and most Fuqaha radiyallahu anhu majma'een. Allah says, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى, and assist one another for virtue and piety. Meaning, help one another to become virtuous and pious, and this assistance will only be done in that case. अच्छा जी, इमाम नववी रहमतुल्लाह अलैह ने इसमें सिर्फ वतआवनु बिल तक़वा कह दिया और हदीस तो खुद पेश ही नहीं की इसमें. चलिए, वैसे एक हदीस है जो उसमें पेश करते हैं, अल मुमिनु अल्लज़ी युखालितु अन्नास वयस्बिरु अला अज़ाहुम खैरुन मिनल मुमिन अल्लज़ी ला युखालितु अन्नास वला यस्बिरु अला अज़ाहुम. जो मोमिन लोगों से मिक्स होता है और उनकी तकलीफ पर सब्र करता है, वो उस मोमिन से बेहतर है जो लोगों से मिक्स नहीं होता और उनकी तकलीफ पर सब्र नहीं करता। तो आप रहिए लोगों के दरमियान, सब्र से काम लीजिए, तहम्मुल से काम लीजिए, खिदमत खल्क़ कीजिए, इसमें सवाब ज़्यादा है। आपका फैज़ फैलेगा, लोगों को नफ़ा होगा, लोगों की ज़िंदगियाँ चेंज होंगी, लोग राह रास्त पर आएंगे। आपके ज़रिए एक आदमी सीधे रास्ते पर आ जाए, ये सुर्ख ऊँटों से बेहतर है। एक हदीस में दुनिया व माफिया से बेहतर है। इसलिए उलमा को, सुलहा को मिक्स होना चाहिए। मेन यही था। वो तो कुछ सूफिया किराम के लिए है जो ऐसे थे जो गुशा नशीनी में चले जाते थे, उनका भी एक मसलक था, वो भी सही है, लेकिन ये राजे है, ये बेहतर है। इससे समझ में आया? आगे चलो, पढ़ना है, बस करना है, बस करना है। जाओ भागो यहाँ से। सुभान अल्लाह। वुजू है तो इशराक पढ़ ले, नहीं तो पढ़ ली।
पहले पढ़ लिया।
अच्छा, ये अच्छा किया आपने, जज़ाकल्लाह। मेरी बाकी है, मैं पढ़ लेता हूँ।